Today's briefing opens with two realities colliding: perimeter gear under active attack and a surge of everyday threats that still work far too well. If you're triaging where to spend limited time this week, this rundown will help you set priorities and actions. Let's get into it. First, a quick look at daily trends. Active exploitation is up. Several newly disclosed vulnerabilities are already being targeted or are highly likely to draw immediate attacker interest. The key fact is speed. Exploit proof of concepts and scanning often follow hours to days after disclosure, compressing response windows. This matters because your patch cycle and monitoring cadence need to match attacker tempo, not last quarter's schedule. Defender takeaway: move exploited or likely to be exploited issues to the top of your queue. Enable interim mitigations when patches aren't feasible, and tune detections for fresh network and web exploitation patterns right away. Staying with daily trends, patching remains relentless. Multiple vendors push security updates and advisories addressing newly disclosed flaws. The key fact is breadth. Updates span operating systems, enterprise apps, and network software, with several critical severity items. This matters because unpatched edge services and widely deployed components represent outsized blast radius. Defender takeaway: maintain an exceptions list no longer than absolutely necessary. Pre-stage critical updates and test where possible, and align your rollout to internet-exposed and high-privilege systems first. Track vendor advisories daily and document which assets received which fixes. Now to a high-risk development on the edge. Palo Alto Networks warned that suspected state-sponsored actors have been exploiting a critical panos firewall zeroday for nearly a month. This is a follow-up to earlier notifications on the same issue, and confirms active use in the wild. The key facts: its critical severity, targets panos firewalls, and the exploitation window spans multiple weeks, long enough for stealthy footholds and data collection. This matters because perimeter devices sit in a position of trust. Compromise can enable traffic inspection, policy manipulation, or pivoting, with minimal visibility from traditional endpoint tools. Defender takeaway: if you operate these firewalls, implement the vendor's guidance immediately, patch or apply any interim mitigations, and run focused hunts across device logs for the exposure window cited. Validate configuration integrity, review administrative access history, and check for unexpected changes to policies or scheduled jobs. Further detail on this front: a specific panos flaw, tracked as CVE-2026-0300, is under active use. It's a buffer overflow in the user ID authentication portal service with a CVSS score reported as 9.3/8.7, potentially allowing an unauthenticated attacker to achieve remote code execution. Reporting indicates attempts to exploit it as early as April 9, 2026, with activity enabling root-level access and espionage objectives. The key facts here are unauthenticated attack surface, potential root compromise, and the espionage-oriented use case. This matters because root on a network edge device can neutralize segmentation and blind internal monitoring, letting attackers persist and exfiltrate with low noise. Defender takeaway: restrict access to the user ID authentication portal service to trusted networks only. Patch to the fixed versions as soon as possible, and deploy virtual patching or WAF rules if applicable. Instrument high-fidelity logging on these devices, alert on anomalous portal requests and unexpected process behavior, and capture forensics before rebooting if compromise is suspected. Stepping back to the broader threat picture, a recent roundup underscored how effective the basics still are for attackers. Themes included plaintext password exposure issues in a major browser, industrial control system zerodays, urgent patch or die alerts, and a long list of additional incidents. Key facts: common vectors continue to dominate: malicious or shady software packages, fake apps, neglected DNS entries, malicious ads, and stolen credentials being circulated openly in community channels. This matters because many breaches do not require novel techniques. Operational lapses in identity, software hygiene, and internet-facing asset management remain the fastest path in. Defender takeaway: tighten the software supply chain by enforcing trusted registries and code signing, harden browser and password storage policies, and require MFA everywhere feasible. Clean up stale DNS records and unknown subdomains, block malvertising and risky ad networks, and continuously monitor for leaked credentials with automated rotation playbooks. For ICS environments, accelerate patch evaluation, segment rigorously, and validate that remote access paths are locked down and monitored. To close, here's the operational order for the next 72 hours. First, identify whether you run impacted panos devices and apply vendor fixes or mitigations immediately. Then, hunt for signs of exploitation back to early April. Second, resort your patch backlog to put actively exploited and internet-facing vulnerabilities at the top, with rapid testing and staged rollout. Third, run a hygiene sprint. Inventory public DNS, prune what's stale, verify browser and credential policies, and confirm MFA coverage and credential leak monitoring are in place. If this helped you prioritize, subscribe for the next briefing. Share it with your response team, and drop a comment on which controls you want a deeper dive on next week. Stay safe out there.